What is up, y'all? Scott here. Today we are going to talk about 7-inch monitors and if there's something you should think about picking up and adding to your setup. We're specifically going to take a look at the Osee T7 7-inch monitor, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with it over the last month. If you're new to the channel, I talk about outdoor adventure filmmaking, show you tips and tricks about how I get the shots that I love, and I'll take you behind the scenes on the different shoots I go on. So if that sounds interesting to you, think about hitting that subscribe button down below. Now, full disclaimer before we get into this, Osee did send me this unit for review. They have not paid me to say anything in this video, so all the thoughts are my own, but full disclaimer, I did receive this unit for free. So let's get into whether or not you might want to pick up a 7-inch monitor. Now, the two main reasons I see a 7-inch monitor being super helpful are 1, to improve your focus and framing, and 2, to share with your clients, your coworkers, other people on set, what you're actually filming. So when you're framing and focusing a shot, it's a lot easier to identify if anything is wrong in that shot if you have a larger screen. If you're working with your small camera screen that's only about this big, you'll know that it's hard to see what's going on there. You know, maybe you've upgraded to a 5-inch screen and you're gonna notice a world of difference between those two. And now you take a step up to a 7-inch screen and you just have that much more visibility to make sure that your focus is nailed or to make sure that nothing is in the frame that you don't want in the frame. A 7-inch monitor is also really great to share what you're doing with your client or other people in your crew. In a lot of circumstances, I'll bring this setup to my shoots and I'll hook it up with a wireless feed from the Mars 300 Pro, and then I'll just hand this to my client, say, here's what I'm doing, take a look, enjoy, and they just think it is so cool. There's this like increased production value of just being able to show your client this is what you're getting, and they get excited about the shots, and it just makes your whole production feel that much more professional. The other way that I use it is on shoots where I'm using like a cable cam rig and I've got one person that's releasing the camera. I'm usually controlling the gimbal on the camera with a remote control, and I've got the wireless setup again linked to this, and I'm able to actually see what's going on a lot better on this bigger screen than if I was using a 5-inch screen. And then after we get the shot, we can all look at the screen together, see what needs to be improved, whether the rider is happy with how they rode, maybe I didn't nail the gimbal movement, or maybe the person dropping the cart needs to adjust their timing to get that shot perfect. And if we can all look at it at the same time, it just helps talk through those things. And you know, maybe it just means we got the shot right, and after 5 takes of doing it, we finally get it and we can all get super stoked, and it brings that morale of the team up, being able to see that image together. So those two reasons alone for me are a reason to have a 7-inch monitor. It's just a great tool to have in your bag, still fairly portable. You know, we're not talking about a 19-inch computer monitor or something like that. We've just got this slim little thing, easy to include in your bag, and you can switch to it for those situations when it's appropriate. Now, talking more specifically about the Osee, this is a great little monitor. So if you want the short answer, this monitor is great for the price bracket that it fits into. We're kind of looking at a mid-range price. I know that it's going to be durable, and that's the first thing that I noticed about this thing is it had a nice solid body. It's plastic, but it has an aluminum frame inside that makes it feel solid. And I noticed that the 1/4-20 threads on this were a nice solid piece of metal, both on the top and the bottom, and it made me feel confident that I wasn't going to break those off. In some of the other monitors I've worked with, if you put any flex on those, you feel like they might actually break off on the inside, which is obviously not ideal. The other piece that is really great about this monitor is it is a 3000 nit monitor, meaning it is super, super bright. So when you're outdoors working with this thing, you have no difficulty seeing it in most circumstances. Now, the screen is a little bit glary, so if you have a really bright light behind you, it can be a bit challenging to see at times in those circumstances, but otherwise, that bright screen is just incredible, and I usually actually have it dialed back to 6 out of 10 because it's just brighter than it needs to be when it's all the way up at 10 for most situations that I'm using it. Now, one thing about this screen I have noticed is, you know, I've been using this a lot over the last month and a half or so, and it's already got a number of scratches on the screen. I'm not sure if this is glass or some sort of a plastic material, but I wish the screen was a little bit more durable. It's just something worth being aware of. Just be careful with this monitor if you are really concerned about scratches. It doesn't impact the usability of it in any way, but worth noting. Now you might think that to have that really bright screen, you'd need a fan in this unit, and that would kind of make it a deal breaker for me. It makes a bunch of noise and just doesn't work for most shoots. All they need to have for cooling this is a little vent here and a little vent here. I've never had it overheat, and I've left it on for multiple hours at a time, so I love that factor about this monitor. Other things to note that we'll talk a little bit more about later: we've got a joystick to control all of the functionality of the monitor. We've got an SD card reader here. This allows you to bring LUTs into the monitor itself. We've got a headphone jack as well as a speaker. And I think that's an interesting thing they chose to do. Most monitors don't have a speaker on them usually. And I really like this when I'm playing back footage for multiple people where the audio is important. I really don't like it in how they've set it up when I'm actually recording, because whatever you're recording is actually being played through the speaker as you record it. So if you have an on-camera microphone, you're going to create a feedback loop. It's a little bit tedious to turn this on and off. The only way to easily turn it on and off is to plug a headphone jack in. Otherwise, you're just looking at turning down the volume basically. And I've suggested to Osee, if they can find a way to make it so that you can turn the speaker on and off with a simple click, that would be 100% ideal. And then this speaker would become much more useful. One thing that I can say I absolutely love about this monitor, seems simple, but is so helpful, is they've just got a switch here to turn this thing on and off. Really easy. A lot of monitors, you're having to hold down a button to turn it on, hold it down for 4 seconds to turn it off or something like that. It's a little thing, but it's super annoying. With this, I just click it over and it's good to go. We've got HDMI in and a loop out, and we've got a DC power, which is really great if you're working in a studio or if you're working with a V-mount battery, for example, and you want to connect it up through D-tap. And fortunately, they've actually included both these cables with this monitor, which I think is a really smart move right out of the box. You're kind of set up for whatever method you want to power this thing. I rely on NPF batteries for most of my power situations, and so that works really great on here. I think they did a good job of choosing where to put a lot of the ports. They've got nothing along the bottom that could get in the way of mounting a bracket on this or something like that. Now, the part I alluded to a little bit earlier is this single button control. I am really partial to touchscreen monitors. It might mean you get some finger marks on the screen and things like that. And I suspect they probably couldn't make this touchscreen because of how bright they wanted to make it. Maybe those two things couldn't fit in the same package at this price point. So they opted for this little joystick control. And for the most part, it works. It does the job. I would say it's better than a lot of the cheaper monitors out there for navigating through menus, but I do not find it super intuitive. I'm unsure if I'm supposed to hold the joystick one direction or click a button or hit up or hit left or whatever it might be. I find navigating the menus just a little bit clunky. That said, I don't use this every single day as my go-to monitor on my camera, so if I was using it all the time and I was using all the different functionalities of it, I would probably get used to a lot of those quirks and understand how to navigate those menus in a clean way. That said, when I'm moving through my different scenes that I've set up, it's really easy to click left and right to get through those, and that's the main way that I'm actually having to navigate the menu on a regular basis. And so those scenes that I'm talking about allow you to set up different pages of tools, basically. So I have my first scene set up with my focusing tools and some framing tools, and I can turn those on and off really easily. Or I can jump over to my second page, which is more oriented to exposure and color and things like that. And I also like how they've made this ability to either have the screen full size, or you can have the screen that you're monitoring stuck in a corner and have your tools, your assist tools, around the edges of the screen. Super cool, allows for a lot of customizability. You can change where all these tools are, and it just feels like a really pro-level interface. One piece I don't use that is also really worth noting is they have false color built into this monitor. You could set that to a page and easily click over to false color to check your exposures with that tool. If we look at the menu here, we have focus peaking, we have focus assist, we've got all the different vector scope waveforms, Luma waveforms, RGB waveforms, we've got the false color. I will be linking up Scott Dumas's video in the comments down below. He did a really good job of showing all of the menu features on this monitor and walking through how to navigate that. So as you can probably tell, I think this is a pretty awesome monitor at the price point that it comes in at. I think they included a lot of features in it, and I think they have a pretty solid build quality. So I have no hesitations in recommending this monitor. I think you should give it a try if you're looking for something in that 7-inch range and want that little extra screen real estate to work with, because for me, it helps a lot in capturing the action and making sure things are in focus. So that is it for this video. I hope you found that helpful. Until the next time, get out there, make something beautiful, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.